Hey everybody, welcome to the March edition of the Echo Means Business live event. We have an exciting topic today, actually. It's going to be a number of topics as we go through some questions that have been provided to us by on our social channels, actually. So I'm super excited to be a part of this live today. So in case you didn't know, my name is Don Stewart, UAG member with Echo Means Business. I work out of Calgary, Canada, and I've been a UAG member. This is my third year. So let's go on to J&J Property Pros who are going to introduce themselves.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
We are J&J Property Pros. This is also our third year being UAG member. We're excited about that. I'm Jenica.
Jana.
And Jared.
And we are all siblings, if you haven't noticed. Just a slight resemblance. We are located in Dutchess County, New York. And we do landscaping, cleaning, and pet care. Those are our three main services. And we've been in the business for about 15 years. We merged our services together. And so J&J Property Pros has been together for about 3 years now. 4 years, but we've been in the industry overall for 15 years. So I think that pretty much sums it up.
We're excited.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being a part of this.
Yeah, we're excited. Thanks for having us.
Let's go down to the bottom here, at least the bottom on my screen. Eli.
Hello, guys. My name is Eli Balthazar. I'm excited to be here today with you guys. And this is my third year as well with UAG. So I'm excited to be on the live tonight. I own Balthazar's Lawn Care. We are located here in Russellville, Alabama. We do landscaping, do lawn care. That's what we do, guys. So I'm excited to be here and have a good time with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Eli. I just realized as you mentioned the 3-year thing, I think we all joined the program at the same time, which is kind of funny. So anyways, last but certainly not least, Nick Phillips.
Yeah, I was just you stole my line. We all signed in at the same time. So yeah, Nick Phillips, P&H Lawn Care, Kingsport, Tennessee, and like everybody else, this is my third year also. I'm a solo operator, but I do lawn mowing, tree trimming, landscaping, about anything that I try and be your one-stop shop. So that's what I bring to the table.
You bring lots, Nick. You do bring lots. Anyways, guys, so thanks for coming. As I kind of mentioned, we're going to go through some questions and comments that were kind of brought to us on our social media channels. Maybe a quick hi to Landscapes by Acme. Scott, thanks for tuning in. The landscape manicurist, had the luxury of meeting her last week, actually, which is super awesome. So I think we'll get started with our first question. When you give a quote in person, how often do they say your price is too high? If you never hear that, do you raise your rates next time? I think this is a pretty interesting question. I'm going to throw it out to let's go Nick to start with here.
I really haven't gotten that very often. I wish I could say I guess I need to raise my rates, but I've actually raised my rates the past 2 years. And I think given the conditions of the economy and everything, that people are just starting to expect it to be more. That I guess that's what it is, or maybe I'm too cheap. I have been told that before also. So I see y'all laughing. I meant on lawn care. On lawn care.
What about you guys? Temkins, J&J, what about you?
We get that constantly.
We've heard the exact opposite. Yeah.
We're always like, oh, wow.
I think for us, though, too, it's also knowing your value and what you're bringing to the table. So when certain clients come to us, and again, we're all providing different services. So it's true, lawn care, and we specialize in detailed manicure gardens, fine gardening, and things like that.
Indoor cleaning and pet care.
You do have skilled team that you're bringing to the table that they have experience, and we carry insurances and all the things. So when you factor in all of your value and when you convey that to the client, if they still can't understand what you're bringing to the table, then
they're not your
client. You just move on, because again, there is that client out there that fits and suits your scope
system
and your system. And then you also have, the there's someone out there for everyone. So
Know who your client is.
yeah, it's just knowing who your client is.
We like to think that we're not super high,
Right.
super low. We're right in the middle because there are a couple that are higher than we are, but we tend to be in the middle, but we hang at the higher end of middle.
But again, it comes down to knowing your value, knowing what you bring to the table. And again, if that doesn't fit with someone, then you move on.
It's not your client.
Yep, you move on.
No, I think that's a really good point. I've definitely heard the no before. And typically, if that's the case, it's one of those people, like I do mainly lawn care, as you guys know. It's that kind of client is the one that wants a cut every 3 weeks that I really don't want to be my client anyways. So if they do say no, that's usually a good reason in order to kind of just say no right off the bat. They're not going to be a problem client and kind of go on. What
It's
about
okay.
you?
It's okay to cherry pick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Eli?
I like what Jerry said. Stay in the middle. I like that because right now we're not taking on a lot of lawn care like maintenance. You know, we're got our customer all at the numbers where we want them. But I hear that sometimes in the landscaping bids when you go and bid for landscaping jobs, sometimes you hear that. But I don't hear it often, especially for the folks that are recommended by their friends or somebody that we did job for. They usually just say, hey, with the quality you did with my friend's yard, I'll let you do it. You know, no questions asked. But like you guys said, I think we're all on the same page. If they don't like our price, hey, move on. You know, there's always going to be that one client out there that would value your work. Like I said, especially the folks that are, because we get that a lot. We land a lot of jobs with word of mouth. Hey, this person gave me your number because you did a good job. I was at her house and she gave me your number. You did a great job there. I want you to give me a prize on my landscape. So when you give your prize, they're like, do it. You know, I don't want you to, I want to give nobody else but you because you did a great job on my friend's house. So I think quality is the main thing here. Quality speaks for itself, and the folks that wants you to do their job, they're going to hire you. But the folks that are just looking for that cheap guy, they're just going to keep on saying, oh, you're too high and this and that, kind of make you feel bad. But there's always that one person out there, that client there, that will take on your work because you do quality work. So I think, stay in the middle, not too high, not too cheap. Know your price, know your numbers.
Awesome. That's great, Eli. Thanks. I think Scott commented in the group chat, just know your worth. And I think that's a good way to kind of segue on to the next comment here. Is there a difference between biweekly and weekly mow all year long? I think based on that, I think weekly you cut once a week. Biweekly would be every 2 weeks. I'm not sure if you want some more information, definitely put it in the chat and we can come back to that. I typically stick to weekly mows just because you gotta kind of know your, like we talked about, if you're doing biweekly cuts and that kind of thing, it's usually someone that doesn't want the highest quality maintenance. Maybe I might not be the correct way of saying it, but I think that's mainly the topic at the end of the day. But okay, next question. What's the pros and cons to having an employee? Nick and I are obviously kind of solo guys. I think we've both had some experience with staff. But I think we're going to focus on J&J and also Eli. So who wants to jump in first? Maybe start with Eli this time.
Okay. Pros and cons about having employees. Well, pros. Let's start with pros, right? I think when you want to take on bigger jobs, you want to have help. Because, for example, today we had a job that we did. It was pulling out juniper, cypress. If I would have done it myself, it would have taken me 2-3 days, you know, so I needed my guys there, you know. When you want to take on bigger jobs or you want to grow your business, of course, you're going to make more money. But at the same time, if you don't find the right help, you're in a spot where like, oh, what do I do? You know, for example, if you got a big job or you got your schedule filled out, and then you got 2 guys calling in or 1 guy calling in saying, hey, I'm not going to make it to work today. That puts you in a spot to where like, oh, what I'm going to do? So, but that's where you push your SOP, your standard operation procedure, where you tell them, hey, that helped me a lot. For the last 3 years, I told the guys, hey, if you don't call, no show, you get 2 warnings. Well, 1 warning. The second time you miss, you're going to get a warning. You're gone.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost Eli.
And yesterday's work, so and so that right there puts you in a spot where you're like, either this guy wants to work or not, but we got to get the job done. So I think the pros, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. There's times that you're happy with the employees, so but that's always let you down. But the ones that are always there, perfect attendant, you try to help them out. You try to or that way they feel that they are being awarded with their perfect attendant, or because when you need them, they're going to be there. But the ones that are not reliable, they're always going to find a way to get away from work. So I think it goes both ways. If you want to grow your business or take more jobs, you're going to need help no matter what. But if you're like Nick, you don't want to deal with that stress, taking on employees, you want to do it all yourself. So I think it has its pros and it has its cons as well. It goes both ways.
I think just quickly before we pass it to J&J, I think we just talked about knowing your worth as a business owner kind of thing. It's also knowing the worth of your employees and making sure you're rewarding them, because if it wasn't for your employees, you're I don't want to say you're nothing, but you're a lot less than kind of the sum of the team kind of thing. So,
hey, I'm not opposed to trying some employees by any means.
I know. We're just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, everything Eli said, it
And
definitely,
Don said too.
and Don, everything that was just said was great
Spot
and
on.
spot on. Yeah, I think for us too, it's really finding a balance between, it's true, you're respecting, rewarding, and therefore it's reciprocated with those that do want to continue with your company and see the growth happening. And again, there was the con of, it's true, they can be unreliable. But then when you do have the reliable team, it is trying to reward that and hold on to that, but there's a balance.
And the pro also is being able to trust your team with doing a project when you're not there, and just knowing that they're going to follow the modes and systems that have been put in place for them, and that they're just going to thrive in their environment because they know what their training is.
They can own what they're doing.
Yeah. So there's that give and
God
take.
knows we couldn't do what we're doing right now without them. It just wouldn't happen. So we're super grateful for the team. Couldn't do it without them.
Without a team, burnout happens quickly, and especially when you're trying to do everything by yourself, and it takes time.
It's like you sometimes will go through so many people before, and you're like almost at your wit's end, and oh, I'm doing this myself, forget it. And then all of a sudden it's like it'll just happen. And
going through the growing pains of having team and trying to find the right team. But when you do, it's golden, and they can help you grow your business and grow it past yourself.
I think it's that trust factor, right? Just being able to know that you don't have to be there for the business to operate. And once you get to that point, it's an amazing feeling. So you get to that point.
I was just going to say, it's getting it to that point. And again, a lot of growing pains to get there, but if you can stick it through,
we're not quite there, but we're getting there.
If you can get a thick skin, it's like we're still in the process of that. We're
still learning.
Our skin is getting more and more leathery.
Jared's getting grayer and grayer by the day. I can see.
Yeah, that's right. But it's paying off. If you can stick it through, it's worth it in the end.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I see some other questions in the comments. I think what we're going to try to do is possibly kind of stick to kind of our questions. And then if we have time at the end, maybe we'll kind of come back through those questions if that's all right with everyone. So keep posting them, and we'll come around to them as we can. So enclosed or open trailer, and why? Nick, you were quiet this last one, so let's throw it your way to start with.
I'm a enclosed trailer guy. That of course y'all know, and one of the main reasons is I don't have to advertise anymore. I mean, I've got, if you Google my business, I'm on that. But as far as putting out flyers or anything like that. Word of mouth, Google my business and my trailer, because it's a 7x16 billboard rolling down through there. Plus, in case y'all didn't know, you can go on YouTube. I've done a video on this, just to plug it there.
It's a subtle plug.
But, selfless plug there. But it keeps your equipment in better shape because it's out of the sun. It protects it from all the elements. Theft is another thing. I mean, if they want it, they're going to get it if they want it bad enough. But it just adds an extra layer of protection. And it's someplace for you to take refuge, whether you're eating lunch, some other things we've talked about in the past too. It's just a good place to go to get out of the elements, whether it's excessive heat or a thunderstorm blows up. So my vote's on the enclosed.
Awesome. How about Temkins? Let's go with you guys.
We liked our enclosed trailer as well. For years we ran open, but enclosed just game changer. Again, you can keep everything on there. It doesn't get wet, doesn't get snowed on, and it's great for storage if you have to use stuff in there. So it's super handy for us.
Both have their purpose, but yeah, if you can get enclosed, yes.
We have both. We have an open and we have our enclosed, but we use our enclosed for most
sometimes
things.
the open, it's good on and off.
Fallen equipment sometimes, but we use that enclosed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say an open too. I know, Nick, you've talked about looking at the dump trailer kind of thing as well. So I think we're kind of focusing this more on actual maintenance type equipment type thing. So Eli, I know you're an open trailer kind of guy, I believe, from what I've seen. So let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Right. Well, now we got the Isuzus, but before we bought the Isuzu, I had open trailers, and then a few years back I used a enclosed trailer. I think I would prefer open trailers because when you pump, I don't know if you guys noticed that we have a lot of issues like going around to use take the fuel nozzle, the pump nozzle, just kind of find a way to get it. If not, pull the mowers down. So I think it's kind of hard. It has its pros and cons as well, but if you want to keep your equipment secured, you would want to go with an enclosed. But with a open trailer, it's just easy to jump in, bring your stuff down. If, like, let's say you guys wants to refuel their weed eaters or the blowers, just put it in their hand and just take it down and pump and go. But if you have your enclosed, got to open doors, got to find a way to get in. So I think it goes both ways. But I would prefer open trailer. With the Isuzus, I think it's a lot easier for us to jump up and get our fuel tanks or whatever we need. And I think it's just easier for us like that.
I agree. I think that's a really good point. You just need to have like 15 Shurikens like Nick Phillips has. And then you're fine for all your equipment.
Well, I've got it set up now to where I can pull up to the pump, open my door, I can fill up my push mower, the Skag, and then I've got the green touch racks with the Shurikens in them, and I can fill up 4 of those just through the door opening. So I only have one mower that doesn't get filled up. So I kind of found a way to work around that. But with all the guys Eli's got, I understand it. I mean, just let them run up and boom and go. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those things for certain setups. And I think all of us have kind of found a way that works in our business in order to do that. And I think that, like you said, Nick, it's perfect. Like you have yours set up perfectly so you can throw it through the door and fill your stuff up. And they'll have their purpose depending on what you're trying to do, especially in your area as well. Like I know we always come to these and talk about ideas, but some things don't always work in different areas either, right? Like you also have to consider storage back at home, at your home base or your shop or whatever too, right? Like Eli, I know you kind of have not a big compound, but you know what I mean? I'm sure some of that comes into play as well in terms of how you're parking it as well. Because I know when I had an open trailer, I was able to just pull it right into my garage, shut the door, and I didn't have to worry about security and stuff like that, which people do in other places. So, but yeah, and then I just saw this comment come up here just talking about would not like to have a trailer or enclosed trailer. That's kind of the route I've gone recently. I actually got rid of my trailer. I find for myself, just with a push mower, I do only kind of small residential lots. I have a couple commercial properties, but they're all pretty small, and I've kind of gotten completely away from the trailer. I just found it kind of to be a little cumbersome when you're driving it around. And then in the wintertime when I do snow removal, I found I just parked it I'm in Canada, so that's 5-6 months a year we have winter. I found it to be just too tough, like not too tough, you can do it, but pulling a trailer around and, a foot of snow at times is not the most enjoyable thing. So that's kind of what I've done in terms of what I've found works. And once again, it's finding what works for you and for your business type and for your clientele, all that kind of stuff. So
honestly, as I grow, I would like to move to a setup like over the cab over trucks. I really like those. Of course, I'd still want a box instead of open, but I think those are really the way to go. So you're not towing around a trailer all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, and less space too. Like when you park at your shop or at your house, you want to need more. You want to need a lot of space, like you do with I had a 7x20, and then when I hook up my truck, I need a lot of space to park that. But with the Isuzus, you just gotta park it, and you ain't gotta worry about anything else. So you save a lot of space with Isuzu. So yeah, I recommend that a lot. Another thing I was gonna bring up, I don't know if Nick ever had that problem, but when I was running my enclosed, we had a mower that would start working like.
Uh-oh.
Working and stop, and so we push it down, let it kind of cool down, and then a few hours later it crank up. So we take it to the mechanic, and what they told us is the reason why, because your mower is not cooling down. Having it in there enclosed is keeping it hot, so it needs some air, some fresh air. So you need to stop pulling it with that enclosed trailer. I don't know if Nick ever had run into that problem, but we had that issue. So when we went to the Isuzu, when you did the changeover, we didn't have any problem anymore. So I guess, I can give them right about that that's why the mower was not cranking up, because it wasn't breathing. It wasn't cooling down quick enough. So, yeah, we had that problem with one of our mowers when I was running my enclosed.
Nick's going to say that it's because there wasn't a skag now, probably.
I run
that one coming.
You have an issue, Nick, with that, or no?
I never have. No, but I talked to a buddy that got an enclosed trailer last year, and he was having problems with that. Come to find it out, the enclosed trailer that he purchased had no vents. There was no vents in that enclosed whatsoever. I've got 4 vents, plus whenever I'm on a yard, I usually leave the man door open as well. So, but Eli does a lot more than 12 yards in a day, so those mowers are probably getting a lot hotter than what mine get. So,
Don, I had one vent on mine, so that's probably why.
And they're not a skag, so
yeah. I have one skag though. Remember that I got a V-Ride too. So, yeah, I had a skag, but it never did have that problem when we run the enclosed. But with the Hustler, yeah, the bigger motor, it was a 60-inch. We had a hard time cranking it up. So when we changed over to the Isuzu, we didn't have any problem anymore. So yeah, that's what happened. But I guess he all works different. So it could be a mower brand too. So you never know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I never really thought about the mower just staying too hot in there, but I guess with incorrect or inadequate airflow, I could definitely see that being an issue. All right, Don,
you're the mechanic. Is that a vapor lock? Is that what would be causing that, or?
I don't even. Could be a lot of issues, but I don't want to comment. I'm not an official trained mechanic. I'm in my back alley. I'll get your mower running kind of thing. So there's definitely other people that are more qualified to answer that question. All right. So next question. Why did you choose the landscaping/trade career path? Anyone want to jump in first? I'm sure there's some interesting stories. I know some of your backgrounds, but.
Go for it.
Okay, I guess we can jump in. Yeah.
Do you really choose landscaping, or does landscaping choose you?
That is the question.
That's also why I didn't know who to throw this to start with.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we can speak for everyone, but let us know that It's true. We've always kind of joked around and said that most of the time something has either happened to you or there's like some backstory that
Or you need
you've
a decompression.
gotten into landscaping.
There's
Like,
always a story
like,
leading up to
a
landscaping.
good story. Yeah, yeah. But I think for us, it was kind of out of necessity.
Yeah.
We didn't think either of us. I mean, I think we always wanted a business together. But we didn't know it was going to be this.
Landscaping.
Yeah.
It kind of lended itself to it. We saw a need in our area that wasn't really getting covered, and we're like, oh, I think we can do that.
I think some summers, our neighbor, they had owned nurseries and different things. So we had different opportunities to work on plant nurseries and gardening and things like that.
Farmhand and cleaning and just.
So we had a lot of different odd jobs. And then we just said, you know what? This is what's afforded to us right now. We think we can make something of this. And it kind of found us.
Yeah,
That's
interesting. It picked us.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And I think that's kind of how I started. I did business and entrepreneurship in school. I always knew I wanted to own my own business. Never knew what I wanted to do. Spent a ton of time thinking about it, thinking I'd come up with this great idea. I'd worked at a greenhouse for 10 years of my life, kind of going through like junior high, not elementary. It wasn't that young, but junior high, high school, and then college when I was going through. And then kind of decided one day, like, let's throw an ad up on Kijiji, which is our version of Craigslist, and see what happens, kind of thing. So that's kind of how mine started, and it sounds similar to you guys.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Let's go, Eli, and then we'll finish up with Nick.
Mine was kind of like that too. You guys, some of you guys already heard my story over the podcast. Same thing, I was working at the chicken plant, and I got promoted at another company, and it was a supervisor, a job that I took on. I was happy for it, more money and all that, but it didn't went the way how I wanted it to go. So, so that pushed me to go full time on lawn care. I started my business in 2007, but I was afraid of the challenges. I was afraid of taking on what do I do? Do I go full time, or do I keep doing it part time? So whenever I got promoted with this supervisor job, that right there pushed me to do it full time, because I didn't like the pressure, and the drive was an hour to get to the job. So I wasn't happy, and I told my wife, I don't like this job. I know the money's good, but I don't like it. I'm not happy. So she's like, maybe it's time for you to do lawn care full time. And I was like, yeah, either look for another job that is closer to the house or is better for me, or take on the challenge of lawn care. So I really think that job, I got promoted and I wasn't happy with. Thanks to that pushed me to do lawn care full time. So ever since then, I'm happy. I've never regret taking on lawn care. So yeah, like some of you guys said, sometimes there's always something that pushes us to do it. And that's what it is. A job that I took on that I wasn't happy with. Money was good, but the pressure was on their management, or like, hey, you got to get this out. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I was like, no, this is not for me. So, having 40, 50 people under you is just a lot in a, poultry company. Right now I got 7 employees, but I'm happy with 7. I think with that, it's just enough, but that's what pushed me to do lawn care full time. So yeah, that's my story.
I love that, Eli, and I think that's happened in so many people's lives, where one thing that you think is maybe not the greatest thing happening to you pushes you to something better. Super awesome.
We're glad you accepted the challenge, Eli. You're an inspiration.
Yeah.
You did all of you are inspirational, but that's a great story.
Appreciate it, guys. And one thing that I always tell everybody, I'm a big Christ believer. I believe in God. I put it in God's hand. I was like, this is one step I want you to decide with me. And if it's lawn care, let's do it. And if it's not, give me a sign. And God put it in my heart, hey, here I am. And I'm happy with lawn care, landscaping.
That's awesome. Nick, how about you? I know you were part-time and then kind of made the jump to full-time. So
yeah, this will kind of transition us into our next one, I guess. I'd actually done lawn care on the side for I guess 14 years, something like from '05, and then I made the jump to full time in 2019. And honestly, it's similar to Eli's. The job I had, I was getting killed with overtime. So my boy's 10 years old now, but the first 3 or 4 years of his life, I either saw him, well, about the only time I saw him whenever was when he was asleep. If I was working graveyard, come in, he was asleep. If I go to work, he's asleep. So it just got to the point where I was working so many hours at the full-time job, then doing this, is can I do this without that? And it finally got to the point where I chose family and a better quality of life over the career path. And I've never been happier, honestly. I'm so glad that we went that direction. It's scary at first, and all y'all know my wife. So she's like, "Are we going to starve to death?" And I was like, "Maybe," but I guess we'll find out. So, yeah, I just chose quality of life is how I went into it.
Well, that's a good point, and I think that is a great segue into the next question. Kind of talking about part-time, full-time. How did you decide to kind of go there, kind of thing? Do you want to comment more on that, Nick? Because you were part-time. Was it strictly just quality of life, or what was that?
I already had 25 clients that I was doing on the side, as well as my full-time job. And I'd wanted to do this for several years, but like a lot of people watching us right now, I was afraid to make the jump, because with a regular job, you've got benefits, you've got job security. What are you going to do then? What can you fall back on? And I was so glad I just took the jump, but the fear of the unknown is really what kept me from it. But once you make that plunge, you get to count on yourself. And if you can't count on yourself, then you're up the creek. So I think I made a good bet.
No, I can't imagine you doing anything else. So it kind of works well, I think, in your case. I still am part-time. I haven't made that jump. I'm not sure if I ever will, to be honest with you. I love what I do kind of full-time, permanent. And I think that's sometimes the difference too, is that sometimes we're in those careers where, and I don't mean to say it was easy, Nick, because it's never easy to make that decision. But when you don't like your full-time job and you're trying to make that jump, it just makes sense, right? Whereas in my case, I do really enjoy what I do full-time, and I love the part-time stuff. And it kind of gives me the chance to be an entrepreneur and to kind of be outside more and do the cutting kind of thing. But also I still kind of have the pros, like you said, of the permanent paycheck, the benefits, the retirement savings, that kind of thing. So it's finding that balance and doing, once again, we've said this a couple times already tonight, but what works for you specifically. So
yeah, the fact that you like your job makes, like, it was easy to walk away from something you hate. So that helps.
It's never easy though, like you said, but I know what you mean for sure.
Right.
Eli, J&J, anything to add to that, or?
You all summed it up quite nicely, and there was a perfect balance there, because it's true. It's like sometimes the decision is clear. Other times you get the best of both worlds, where you're like, you know what, I still enjoy this, but I get to be the entrepreneurial side and tap into that a little bit.
The diversity in the green industry makes it fun.
Yeah,
because
we've met
no two stories are the same.
Yeah,
it might have similar tendencies, but it's not the same.
And we've met so many wonderful salt of the earth people in the green industry, where it's true, not only do they do landscaping, but they're like, we also do this and that and that. So many entrepreneurial spirit, which is just awesome. We love to see that. So yeah, great answers, everybody.
Thanks. That's awesome. Eli, were you part-time before? I think I might have missed that. You had a part-time kind of business before, right? And then you kind of went full-time?
Yes. I had that full-time job, and lawn care was part-time. I think the thing that I had was fear. I was scared of taking the step because I was afraid of challenges. I was afraid of if I was going to grow or I wasn't going to grow. And I think that was my mistake, is scared of taking that step of full-time. I was excited about it. I love doing lawn care, but I was just scared. I only had like 10 yards when I was doing part-time, and I was afraid I was going to be there going into full-time 2-3 years. And I was like, what if I don't, gain any customers? What if I don't pick up any more? Just be 10, 15. I guess it's just being scared. I think I wasn't ready for the challenges. But one thing I tell everybody now, if you enjoy doing it and you want to do it for, a long time, or, want to grow a business, want to have a business, don't be scared of taking that step of full time. So I think that was my main fear. My only request to God was, give me 40 yards. I'll be happy with 40 yards, but God says, I got something better for you. And, we do a lot of HOAs now. And I think if you put it in God's hand, he'll take you to a level where you're like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. So that right there kind of makes me regret that I should have done this a long time. Took the step of full times, longer than just being scared or just thinking about it. Maybe not, but thanks to this job that I had, it pushed me to go into it. It's like, okay, let's do it. And thanks to my wife too for always being there for me. I think Nick knows, we all know that we have a partner. If they help us, they're always there pushing us. I'll come home sometimes and I'm like, man, I didn't make no money today. She's like, there's going to be a day you're going to make money. Just keep on pushing it. Don't doubt yourself. And yeah, that right there helped a lot. So I think the main thing is, if you love doing it and you want to take the step to full time, don't be scared of taking challenge. There's going to be a challenge out there. There's going to be a time you're going to be like, oh man, I don't know. I think this is not for me. But hey, when you push yourself, you believe in God, you're going to be at the place where you want to be.
I think that's a really good point. I think the fear thing and the being able to put food on your table, like Nick was kind of talking about, like that is scary. But I think Edward just made this comment. It is scary. I'm going through it right now. It's my first year under an LLC. I think the one thing to take from this call, and anyone who's listening or watching at a later date, like, I guarantee you that every single UAG member that's been in the program or has ever been in the program was scared at one point when they started their business. So
Yes.
you're not alone. You're not doing this by yourself. Reach out to UAG members. Reach out to other business owners. Like, there's tons of great information, and just knowing that other owners are going through the same thing will make you feel good. So I think that's a really great work.
A comment on that though. It says, do you recommend to start part-time or go full-time? I would recommend doing it part-time before I made the full-time plunge, because what you see on these YouTube channels where I made $2,500 in a week, they don't tell you the bad stuff. They're only throwing this money at you and getting views and stuff like that. Some people start their lawn care business and a month later find out they don't even like it. I hate mowing yards. I can't deal with people. I can't deal with this. I can't. So before you go quitting your job and thinking you're going to do lawn care full time and it's going to be everything that you see on YouTube, you better pick up 4 or 5 yards and try it for a month and see if that's really you before you go giving your boss the finger. That's my advice on that.
Words of wisdom.
Words of
Nick.
wisdom.
A
Yes.
nugget right there. Not as glamorous as you might think. Yes.
Not at all.
Not all is always cracked
Yeah,
up.
test it before you buy it. Yes.
Take it for a test drive.
I think that's a great thing. I think those first 10 to 15 clients as well are the hardest ones to get. I think once you get past that, you're in the 20s, you're in the 30s kind of thing. As you guys know, they kind of come pretty quick because your name's out there. They have more neighbors. Your trucks out there, your trailers out there. Those ones come quickly. It's those first, 10 to 15 that you're putting quotes out, you're putting signs up, you're doing all that kind of stuff, and you might not be getting the phone calls then. So I think that's a great tip with the part-time. Once you have that small base, then you can take that step when you're.
How many of these guys do you see in March and April that are running around everywhere? But whenever it's July and August and it's 96 degrees out, where are they at? But they just magically disappeared. But so it's not fun and games, and it's not everything that you see on YouTube. It just sure you like it before you take a full plunge. Don't go jumping into the deep end before you know how to swim.
It's a good point.
Mick drop from Nick.
On to the next one. Speaking of Nick and his love of backpack blowers, how many backpack blowers should I have to run a business? Let's skip Nick to start with because he's not going to give the right answer. 24 as a solo operator is not the right number of backpack blowers. Eli, why don't we go with you? You have 7 guys. You said you do HOAs. You have a pretty big operation. How many backpack blowers do you have?
I think we got 10. We got 10 backpack blowers, but I think the question is how many do we have to, I guess, to like start your business, if I'm not wrong. I think it's better off to like, it's good to have 2, but sometimes when you start your business, you can't afford to buy 2. You know, it's always good to have 2 because when you start up your business, you have one that you're using every day, and get another one for backup. Get another one for backup, especially if you're doing long maintenance. You know, sometimes you need a bigger blower to start your business, to run your business. If you're just doing lawn care, when the bigger blower comes in, it's whenever you do cleanups, fall cleanup. You have to push a lot of leaves around. So yeah, that's whenever the big mower comes in. But I think it's good to have more than what you need because you never know when you get a breakdown. It's always good to keep one in the truck, another extra. That's what we do because when we do a lot of cleanups, especially in the fall, we have to deal with a lot of leaves. We always have an extra in there, 1 or 2 in each truck. That way, whenever we, like this past year, this last fall, we had 2 blowers that blew out on us. So we're like, man. And I told the guy, he was scared of telling me. He thought he messed up the blower. He's like, I can't get it to work. I was like, it's okay. Just throw it back in the truck, grab the extra one, and continue to work. So it's always good to have an extra blower, you know, especially if you're running multiple crews. It's always good to have each truck an extra blower. That way, whenever you don't run into the spot where you're like, what do I do? Or you have somebody else come drop you off a blower or borrow your friend's blower, you know. So, but when you start up your business, I think it's good to have 1 or 2. 2 is good to have backup, but if you can't afford it, 1 is okay. You do good with 1. So that's my point of view, but I want to hear you guys what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. It really does depend on how many employees you have and the type of work you're doing, type thing too. Because I know in my case, a solo guy, I definitely have at least 2 always at any time. Also, if you are solo or you're running a full-time crew kind of thing, you can't afford to be down. You can't afford to have that downtime. So that backup, at least 1 backup, is definitely always needed because not only is it slowing you down, you got to spend time fixing it or taking it in, and you know your dealer might not be open during certain hours and runs into a huge bunch of issues. J&J, let's go with you, and we can finish up with Nick and his 20.
We
all
have
said it.
we have quite a few blowers now, but when we started off, we couldn't really afford to have a blower, so a lot of it was bully lugging and a rake. And the first blower we got was this cute little, I think it was Home Depot Special Ryobi. That thing lasted probably, I don't know, 3 sessions, and it just wanted to die.
It was done.
So we let it. And so we pretty much function with rakes and tarps and backbreaking labor for the first 2 years.
And we get down there and blow on the grass blades.
And then we can afford a proper blower, which we can now, thank God. Again, if you can afford them, then the more the merrier, because if one goes down for whatever reason, you can keep working. The goal is have production never stop, but keep moving.
Of course, if you can at least have 1 to start, that's
always great.
a
but
great.
If not, rakes work too.
That's right. And like Eli said, it's the size of your operation, it's
Correct.
the application and use and what you need it for. But yeah, PB 9010, yes, Echo, it's great. Still, there are a whole bunch of great blowers.
Billy Goat and 2 little handheld blowers from Echo, the little battery powered ones. It's a sweet deal.
Gets the job done.
My first blower was a Poland backpack blower from Lowe's.
Yes, I remember. Yes, that's awesome.
What was yours, Nick?
Mine was a Husqvarna from Lowe's. The little, I think it was $199, maybe. It was just a little teeny tiny one, like a 25cc, I think. But I ran that for shoot, 5, 6, 7 years. I think that's why I have the blower problem I have now.
All right, Nick, tell us about your blower problem.
I have too many.
How many is too many?
I think I'm knocking on 7 right now. I think 5 backpack blowers and then 2 handhelds. But if the truth be known,
Dang.
Just a reminder, Nick is a solo entrepreneur.
Nick, we might need to call an intervention here.
yeah, I definitely.
He's a
collector.
That's right. You can understand. John can understand.
Let's see, 2 580 Ts, 2 9010 Ts, and a 7910. So yeah. So if one goes down, I've got a backup for the backup for the backup for the backup.
No, that's a good point. And actually, Jason, who I just met last week officially, he said he may have an issue or just maybe overprepared. The backup to the backup. You never want to be down, and I think that's a really good point for anyone. And I think that's why we all have what we have now. I think it's great to have that, but like you guys said, when you're first starting out, that's not always possible. So one is better than none, and go from there, kind of thing.
Definitely.
All right, next question: grass height. Sorry, 1 second here, guys. What's the optimal height for cutting grass?
Depends on the area.
Yeah.
I think this is a very loaded
What kind of
question.
grass you have?
I think we're all
Grass you have,
from
yes.
pretty different areas, obviously. Eli, do you want to start with you, and then maybe we can move north?
Yeah. Yeah, let's start in the south. We have a lot of Bermuda here and Soja. That's what we cut a lot. I think it all depends, like we said, the place, the area where we at, and the type of grass. Right now, we're cutting 1 inch. We're scalping all the yards. But whenever it's growing season, like May, June, July, we go up to 3 inch or 3 1/4. That's our height of cutting, and that's healthier for the grass. And my guy that sprays all my HOAs, he usually tells us, hey, you're at a good height, or cut a little lower, go up a little bit. But we usually stay in a 3 inch or 3 1/4.
Nick, how about you?
I will not cut below 3 1/4. I can't do it. It's scalping the yard. It's hard on the blades, all that. I prefer to stay 3 1/2, 3 3/4. I get the best strops out of 3 3/4 or 4 inch. Those are the best looking yards. They stay the greenest. I put the best patterns in them. But if anybody says, yeah, I want to cut short, I'm like, call the next guy, because that's not me. But it's different parts of the country, because we don't have grass like Eli's got. Even though, Eli, you're like 4 or 5 hours down south from me, we don't have that type of grass. So, yeah, I'd say 3 1/2 to 3 3/4, 4 inch is the best cut for my area.
And Nick, what kind of grass would be the primary?
Most of it's fescue and weeds.
That's a fair point. Seconds. A little cooler grass.
We do a lot of Kentucky blue, a lot of tall fescue. Yeah, plenty. Some weeds.
Piggybacking off of Nick's, the
A
same
couple
here.
over here and there for people who don't like to do their fertilization thing. But yeah, we have definitely quite a mix of grasses, but a lot of cool style grass. So they like to be cut a little bit taller. They don't like too short. During the crazy grow season, we might cut as low as 3 3/4 if the client requests, but normally we don't go under 4 inches. A lot of times we're cutting at 4 or 4 1/2. Some clients have requested, believe it or not, we go all the way up on some sections when the drought happens with a V-ride, and that allows the grass to stay green without browning out. As everybody else turning brown, our clients are still green because that fescue can't handle being that short.
And then changing direction as well.
Yep, always changing direction. But yeah, again, it's knowing the grass that's growing in your area and cutting high. I mean, for us in the Northeast, cutting high definitely works better for us. It sounds insane, but it works better.
When drought happens and all
Yeah,
that.
4 is as low as we really want to go.
That's crazy. Yeah. So I'm I get a lot of Kentucky Blue and kind of fescue mixes. That's kind of how our sod's kind of laid down, and I'm doing more residential properties a lot of the time too, that typically have watering either systems or they're watering themselves by sprinklers. So I go kind of like 2 3/4 to 3 1/4 ish, but it really depends, obviously, like you guys said, with temperatures, with drought. We're heading into another super dry summer. We haven't had, I guess we've had a lot of snow this winter, but the lakes and stuff like that are still pretty empty. So we're going to have some restrictions probably pretty early in the season this year. I think we'll be cutting a lot higher this year, like you guys said, to keep it green and that kind of thing, as long as possible. So, one other comment, I just wanted to bring this in. First of all, hi to the Jar Sisters, you guys. Love their comment though about brushing off the sidewalk with their glove, and then also using a weed eater to kind of blow it off. I think that's a great idea. I think honestly, I've done that not even thinking at times. You know, you get a little grass that kind of flies off and you just use it to knock it back. But I think that's a great idea. So good tip. But yeah, maybe I guess another keeping one in the truck. I think even a broom or something like that, so you're not having to do it by hand. But okay, next question. What are some solid platforms to use to hire quality teams? I think this actually comes back to one of the comments that I saw earlier as well, maybe like how to hire your first employee. I think the Jar Sisters kind of commented on that too, but let's start with you guys, Tompkins.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I think it really will depend on somewhat of your demographic. We originally started on Craigslist, and for us, it just was not working.
No.
Every single person after like 2 to 4 months would just
You'd invest
ghost us.
time,
Just enough
energy.
time to collect unemployment.
It was horrible.
And it kept happening.
Yes. And then we
noticed the pattern.
we were trying Indeed for a little bit and then ZipRecruiter,
Yep.
but we really have had great luck with ZipRecruiter. So
we've had some quality team.
Yeah,
I know others sometimes post on Instagram or Facebook and have great success with it, but for us in our area in Dutchess County, ZipRecruiter seems to work really well. We've gotten, again, solid team.
quality. Amazing
Yeah, so
team.
ZipRecruiter, we're all about it.
Yes.
We recommend.
I think that's a really good point. I know one of the other UAG members, still in Quebec. Subtle plug to Canada. He's used Instagram quite a lot and had apparently quite a bit of success with finding tree workers for his area. But I think you're right, though. It really depends on the area you have around you and kind of how that works. I think also too, a lot of the time it depends on where you're at, even with the follower count and that kind of thing, right? Like for me personally, I don't have a ton of followers, so I don't think that would help as much as it might for other people. But Nick, I'll let you finish up maybe at the end after we let Eli, if you have anything to add. But Eli, what kind of
what was the question again?
What kind of platforms have you used to hire a quality team? So what kind of, whether you're using Indeed or Facebook, that kind of thing?
Yes, I go with Facebook. Facebook has worked well for me. And also having friends that do other jobs that I don't do, I'm just, hey, I got a job opportunity here and I'm not going to mess with it. I'll let you have it. If you want to do it or not. But Facebook, Facebook has worked well for me.
That's awesome.
See, I had the opposite effect with Facebook. I was getting messages at 3:30, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and not that they're getting up at that hour. They were still up at 3:34. And then, hey, aren't you going to call me back? And I was like, just shut it down. Just take it off. This is ridiculous. So, yeah, I had the opposite effect with Facebook, and that's probably why I'm still solo. I went through 3 guys last year, and I'm just like, I'm tired of the headache. So, but that's pretty much the only experience I've had with it. I would like to try ZipRecruiter, though. That sounds cool, though.
I think,
Yes.
I think sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and Indeed, so all of these platforms charge a premium or a price per month, but ZipRecruiter, again, not that we're getting sponsored by them, but we've just had such great success
Yeah,
with
right.
them, and they have a low they have a low starting point. It's like I think $15 a month, or they have different programs. So check it out for sure. It's a great way to
It's
find
streamline
team.
the process.
Great way to find team and not breaking the bank. Yeah.
I think that comes back to, like you kind of mentioned, Nick, kind of saying how difficult it was. That kind of comes back fully to the growing pains type thing. Like it's getting those first couple of people, and then it's word of mouth a lot of the time, and their friend knows someone, and it just helps kind of to grow as you go. So I actually had success with Indeed at one point when I was looking for someone. He worked for me for a couple of years, 2.5 years actually, and it was great. But I just haven't jumped back into that, kind of like Nick said. It takes a lot of time to hire an employee, as you guys know. So it's finding that time and kind of going that route. But all right, so on to the next one. This is an interesting one that I haven't really had to deal with yet. But how do I get financing for my equipment? Who wants to start? Do you want to, Eli, do you want to start us off maybe? You got a pretty big operation down there, we know.
Well, I always did all the financing through my my dealers. You know, I know a lot of folks go to the bank, get a business loan, 50,000, 60,000. No, the way how I did it was always like, well, I go for the mower. I went to when I first started, I went for Hustler. Went to the Hustler dealer, and I was like, I want to get this right here. So they offer the financial. Like the Sheffield Financial, I think that's what most dealer uses. So I use them a lot ever since I started my business. So everything went through my dealer. I always ask them who they use, and most of the time it's Sheffield Financial. But like the weed eaters and blowers, that I could afford all that. But bigger, stuff, I think it's always through Sheffield Financial. In terms of trucks, it's the same thing. It's through the dealers and all that. But yeah, it's always through my dealers that I, gave me the option to who offers the best interest rate and all that. So that's what I did.
I think that's it. Would probably, and obviously I don't have experience with this, but I'm sure that helps a lot with your relationship with your dealer when you are going directly through them for all your purchases, whether you're getting, your Hustler at your dealer or whether you're buying, a backpack blower or string trimmer kind of thing. They know who you are. You've been in there. You have that relationship with them. So I think that's important. Yes. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, Sheffield Financial is one a lot of the dealers use, and the reason what makes them really good is they offer 0% interest for 48 months a lot of times with approved credit. So that's good. But my advice on this is, of course, big mowers like the First Tiger, stuff like that, big mowers for Eli, a lot of times you got to finance it. But if you can avoid financing anything in this, don't. Save up, use the push mower, use whatever mower you've got until you can buy the equipment, because it sucks going out and working all day, making this money, and then having to turn around and make the payment on it. And then by the time you get the mower, you've got 1,000 hours on it, 1,500 hours on it, and now you've got to turn around and trade it on a newer one or keep it going or whatever. So my advice to everybody watching is, if you can pay for it, and try not to finance it if at all possible. But if you can, get the best rate at the lowest interest rate. So
yeah, I think that's a great point. It's really only finance when you really need to, I think, is the point. Start small, grow your business. I think we've all kind of done that, and only finance kind of when you get to that point when your business can sustain it as well, right? It's starting small and working your way to that point. So that's a really great tip, I think, Nick.
And just to round
I think
out,
to touch point too, when we first started,
we didn't have credit.
We were young. We didn't have credit.
So kind of all of on our own, and we were young kids just trying to make it happen because we had no other choice.
We applied, we tried, but
Sheffield did not like us at all.
So we were not accepted.
So we built a relationship with the local banker in town, and she got to know us and understood what we were trying to do. We purchased what we could with what we had. We worked again with rakes because we had to. and you just kind of muscle it a little bit and build a relationship with maybe a federal credit union or your local bank and put some deposits in there and let them see that you're trying.
Right,
And then
business
she was the
plan.
one who gave us a chance.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
some little town bank, and thank God now Chase and everybody else.
Interest rates were a little bit higher, but it was also the way for us to start
we
building.
had to get our
credit.
feet in the door one way
Yeah.
or the other, and that was it. So it was leverage used wisely. We weren't just going to just leverage to leverage, but it was trying to use wise leverage.
Knowing you can pay it off, it helped us build credit.
Yep.
So there's that side too. But agreeing with Nick, if you can afford it, don't
do
get
it.
yourself into more debt. Correct. Either it can help you use the leverage to help, or yes, like Nick pointed out as well, just buy it outright if you can.
I think that's great. That's a great point to the comment that was kind of brought up. If you do have bad credit, what do? I think working with your local banks in that kind of situation is probably your best bet. Have your business bank accounts with them, kind of thing, because like you said, they start to see the money coming in. They're more likely to give you a chance if you have that relationship with them. And obviously, you have a better relationship with your small local banks than you will with kind of the bigger conglomerates, kind of things.
Yeah, like credit unions here in the States. If you can go through a credit union as opposed to a larger bank, they're a lot more apt to work with you, where banks operate under a different umbrella than credit unions do. So they have more leeway to look at you personally, where a bank just looks at the numbers. So if you can find a local credit union, that you might stand a better chance with them as well and get a better interest rate on it.
Definitely. Awesome. Great points, guys. We're coming up. We're just hit an hour, guys. We got, I think, one more question left, and we'll get everyone off to enjoy the rest of their night. So summer will be here around the corner, maybe in some places, not here. But would you love some tips about how to stay safe in the summer heat? Eli, Nick, you guys are probably the warmest areas out of the group here. What about some tips, Eli?
Well, always keep you guys hydrated. Always keep water in your truck. Provide water for you guys. Every once in a while, buy some Powerades for them. That's what I do with my guys. But you'll always find water in my truck. Another thing, I always recommend the guys, when y'all think they're getting too hot, take a break. Go look for the trees. Go under a shade and take a break. If you have to, jump in the truck. Go in the truck, especially when we're doing HOA. Sometimes we're out there and the guys weed it in 6-7 hours. So I tell them, hey, don't hesitate to go to the truck if you have to. When you feel it's too hot, you need some air, some fresh air, jump in the truck, crank it up, run the AC. You cool down and then go back to work. So it's always great to give them guys a chance to, let them know that they can go to the truck and, take a sip of water. And once you cool down, get back to work. But yeah, always keep them hydrated, keep them waters cool. We have each truck has a cooler. Always keep it filled up with water and ice. So yeah, that's what we do.
I think, Eli, too, one of the things I've always seen with you is when you guys are having lunch or whatever like that, it's under some trees and you got the waters and stuff like that ready to go. So I think that's a great one. Nick, anything to add to that? I think it's taking the breaks and then the hydration is the biggest tips.
Yeah, and what I always get fussed at for is because I only drink water. You need to get the electrolytes and like liquid IVs, Gatorade, stuff like that, to get sugar and salt back. Because whenever you're sweating that much, you're actually losing salt out of your system, and you need to replenish that, because too much water can actually be bad without some additives in there to get back in your system. So you need to mix in something that has electrolytes in it besides just water to totally get you back up. Like some athletes, whenever they get cramps, they'll eat mustard packets. So got to think of that.
So I should carry mustard in my truck? Is that what you're saying?
I think I saw it in the tournament last night. A guy got a cramp and he was sucking on one. So
that's awesome. J&J, anything to add, or should we move on to kind of our final?
Yeah, I think
we can move on. You all
covered it.
Great points. Yes.
Okay, guys. So that is kind of the list of questions. There was one question that we wanted to touch on that we thought was super cool. and I think very topical. Well, not just today, but always. Just going to pull it up. But basically, oh gosh, I just had it. Being self-employed, how do you plan for retirement? This kind of comes back, I think, a lot to the going full-time kind of thing as well, and trying to balance that. That's one thing I know personally for my full-time job. That is one of the best perks about it is having, up here we call it an RRSP, basically just a savings plan that my company pays some into and I pay some into as well, similar, I think, to an IRA down in the States. But one of the things, I'll just give kind of one of my quick tips, and then we can go to you guys. We'll try to be quick with this because I know we're over the hour, but I'm a pretty big believer in the profit first type thing and making sure that as soon as I get paid, whether it's, the 10% or whatever you kind of decide, like the richest man in Babylon, always put the 10% away. As soon as you get paid, you put the 10% away, that's yours. For your future, your retirement kind of thing. So that's what I've personally done. Any tips to you guys if you figure out great? J&J, why don't we start with you guys?
Definitely, we love our Roth IRAs. I think we're going to roll it into a Roth 401k because you have more access to funds. You can put that away. You can make contributions from your business, and you get to write it all off. Also, thankfully, this year we're able to hopefully get the business in a building of its very own so that it's also savings as well. So you're putting it towards your building, and all of this is tax efficient. So not only are you saving for your retirement, but you also get to save tax-wise. They're giving you a little bonus to save up for your future. So we love Roth 401ks through your business, self-directed. We enjoy that.
Helping your present and your future.
Exactly.
And taking like that percentage.
Yeah,
exactly.
There are business savings accounts or just other things in general.
Nick, Eli, anything to add?
I have mine through my bank. Deposit your money and check with your bank, and then they offer you retirement plans. They'll take a percentage and they'll save it, and then they also put in the percentage as well. So it's a plan that my bank offers, and I go through that, but I also have a saving plan besides that, But I like the bank thing because you make a deposit and then you won't feel it come out of your bank account. So it just goes straight in. So that's the way how I do my retirement plan. So I think everybody does it different, but that's my way of doing it. I like it too.
Nick, you want to add something?
Yeah, I saw a meme this morning on Instagram that said, I'm going to dig the hole the day of my funeral. And I'll get in it. So, yeah, I'm sticking with that one. That being a burden on my kids.
No, I think it's a cool question, and I think that could be a live of itself, to be honest with you. Even just the financial side, but obviously the Temkins, you guys with your tax savings and how to make it more efficient tax-wise, that's a huge topic, and it'd be cool to have some experts on here to talk more about that. So, anyways, guys,
we think so.
Just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to the Temkins. Thank you to Nick. Thank you to Eli. Thank you to everyone watching. Make sure you guys check out echomeansbusiness.com. Follow us on, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias, YouTube. And thanks for watching. We'll have another live coming in April. And yeah, thanks everyone.